you want to put on your ankle weights, if you have them, you can just leave those on. Again, you do not have to, but you can put them on. One thing I do want to kind of show, and something I want you to keep in mind, this is not for everyone, but there are a lot of women whose back goes in. I am way guilty of this. So when you're doing exercises, if you ever see me, it might almost look like I'm rounding my back because I almost kind of am. So think about like when you're doing anything on all fours, almost like push up a little bit, because what happens then is that now I'm at full hip extension as opposed to this. There's a lot of this on Instagram and I'm like, cool, you just broke your back. So just think when you're doing it to keep the movements like really small. And when you feel that squeeze in your glutes, stop. Like, don't be extra. Like, keep everything tight. So the first thing that we're gonna do for 2 minutes, this is a nice warm up. I want you to take your time with it. It's 2 minutes of a hip thrust with a band. If you want to use a dumbbell as well, you can. You are gonna go 1, then you're gonna push your knees apart. 2, then 2, 3, all the way up for 2 minutes. Just so you guys kind of have a reference for the tempo that I want you going at. When I do this, I typically get to around 7 in 2 minutes. So just not saying you have to do 7, but like you probably shouldn't be at like 15. You're going way too fast. Another thing, I would like you to try, once the timer starts going down, to finish whatever set you're on. So let's say you're on 7 and there's like 15 seconds left. If you can get through that 7 and 7, kind of give yourself that push. All right, so bands on. If you do not have a bench to put your shoulders on, you can do this on the floor. So everybody get into position. I'm gonna hit my timer, okay? And go. When you're doing it, make sure that you are almost rolling and squeezing your hips up as opposed to this. You don't want your rib cage out. You are at 1 minute. Thirty seconds. $15 seconds. Trying to finish up whatever set you are on, if possible. And time. All right. So the next thing, you are going to use a band if you want it. If you have a lighter band, you can use that. You can keep your ankle weights on, but all of these are going to be one leg at a time. So the first thing, again, either with the band or without, you are going to squeeze it up. You want to feel this on the side of your butt and lower it down without letting it touch. So these are pulses, but they are small. You can flex your foot, you can point your toe, however you are going to feel it the most. But I want you, what helps me is I take this top hand and I push it down onto the ground. Make sure that my hips stay turned in when I'm doing it. And again, keep it small. So it's going to be one side, then we're gonna switch to the other. Then the next thing we're gonna do is fire hydrants. So either up here or down here, but you are going to squeeze out and lower it down. With the band or without. Doesn't matter how high it is, you just want to be squeezing out. The third thing, you will start with your foot pointed back and you're gonna bring your knee towards your shoulder. Point it back, bring it in, feel that squeeze and bring it back. And the fourth thing, I will show you guys as we go. I call these rainbows. I cross over this back leg, touch, over the back leg, touch, over the back leg and touch. Keeping this all in your glutes. So there will be some rest time in between for either setup. Also, you need to let your butt muscles relax. So do the effort and then rest. Give me 1 second, I'm just gonna change this. All right, so on your side, into the sideline pulses, here, lower it down, here, you have 45 seconds here. And go. You may find it more comfortable laying all the way down. Just try to keep that tension the entire time in your glute. Ten seconds. Good, you are going to switch to the other leg. If you want to start early, you can. We're starting in 5 seconds. And go. Jess, bring your top hand over and put it flat on the ground in front of you. Yep. Good, now you are switching to the fire hydrants. You can either do this up high on your hands or down on your forearms. If it hurts your hands, you can also go into fists. Get a good squeeze at the top. "15 seconds. Good, you are going to switch to the other leg. Starting in 5 seconds. And go. "15 seconds.
Yeah.
Good, you are going to stay in this position and you are going to go to the point and
What?
bring your knee in, either with your band or without your band. So point, bring your knee towards your shoulder. Point. You are not trying to touch your shoulder with your knee, you're just going in that general direction. The most important thing is that you're generating tension in your glutes. It's not about how big the movement is, it's getting that really good squeeze. Good, and switch sides. Make sure you're not crossing too much where you lose your hip and this one comes up. So you just want it to be pointing down and then squeeze. "15 seconds. And the last exercise, the rainbows. So you are starting crossing the foot on the ground and you're going to come up and touch, up and touch. Keeping this in your glutes. Good, make sure you're not dipping your back too much. Make sure the stable leg, that knee is underneath your hip. Good, you are switching sides. If you need to readjust your band, make sure that it is down right above your knees. And go. Another thing you may find helpful is to kind of relax your leg a little bit and make sure that your glute is doing the work and you're not so tight that your hamstring is doing everything. Good, I'm gonna have you flip onto your side. We are going back to the side lying pulses. Make sure that bottom foot is staying on the ground. Five seconds. And switch to the other side. And go. Good, try not to let your feet touch at the bottom. Stop right before they touch, keeping that tension in your glutes. Good, moving on to fire hydrants. Good, to really challenge yourself, try not to lose the tension at the bottom. You can relax it a little bit, but try to make sure there's still some tension in the band. Good, you are going to switch to the other side. Starting in 7 seconds. Again, if you find it more helpful to be on your fists or down on your forearms, that's perfectly okay. If it's too much with the band, take the band off and just focus on the contraction. Good, you are going into the point and then bringing your knee forward. So squeeze, bring it back. Squeeze, bring it back. Good, make sure you're keeping that knee up and switching to the other side. As much as you can when you bring it forward. Get that knee up. Don't drop it down. Ten seconds. Then we're moving on to the last thing, the rainbows. Good, so crossing. Over that back leg, you are squeezing it up and bringing it to the outside of the leg. Squeeze it up and back. And we have the other leg, right? Yes? Almost there. Then you get to stand up. And go. "15 seconds. Good, everybody take a moment to grab some water if you need it, stretch it out a little bit. You can sit back if you need to, kind of sit back and stretch, and you can take your band off. I'm just gonna change the timer for 1 second.
Anyone else dying from the rainbows with a band on? That was a new form of torture for me.
You're welcome. Okay. The next thing, there are 2 exercises. You will need a set of dumbbells or 1 dumbbell or a kettlebell for the first thing. This is going to be for 1 minute and 15 seconds. So it's a long time. I want you to just focus on your butt and your inner thighs when you're doing this and just making the most of each rep, not just trying to get through it. So I like to hold my dumbbells like this. You do not have to. I hold them underhand, like almost like up against my thighs, facing this way. But we are going to do plie squat pulses. These pulses are slow. They are not fast. So standing wide with your toes out, I want you to keep your torso up. So I don't want you to be leaning forward, which means that you're not going to be able to get too deep. You are going to sit and squeeze. When you squeeze, I want you to really drive your heels and even a little bit of your toes out, because that's gonna hit your inner thigh. So just take your time with this, sitting, and then squeeze and down. So I'm not standing all the way up. I squeeze so I feel that tension like right here in my inner thighs. And then you will have a 15-second break. You will put your band on. If you have a heavier band, this would be the time to put the heavier band on. Your feet will go on top, and you're going to do the frog pumps. With these, I want you to really drive your knees out and then squeeze them up. So imagine that I have the band on. I start at the top. I drive my knees out, and then I squeeze up. I'm not trying to bring my legs together, but I just get that good squeeze at the bottom. Drive it out and squeeze. So we have a minute and 15 of the plie squats, and then a minute and 15 of bad boys. You guys ready? All right, grab your weights and go. So keep your arms straight when you do this. Make sure your toes are turned out. 30 seconds. Good, make sure you're not locking out completely at the top. Good, weights down, bands on, feet up. So pushing your knees out and then squeeze. If you want to add a little bit of a pulse at the bottom, by all means, feel free to do that, to really make sure that you're keeping it in your glutes and then rolling them up. And make sure you get a good hard squeeze at the top. Jenna, tuck your hips just a little bit more. You have 20 seconds. If you feel this too much in your hamstrings, you can move a little bit closer to whatever your feet are on. Good, everybody can come down and rest. I want you to either be on the floor or your back up on top. We're doing what we did in the beginning, the 2 minutes. 1, 1, 2, 2. If you didn't use a dumbbell before, I would like you to this time. All right, so 2 minutes here. And go. This is the last time that you're gonna do it. So remember that you're going up. So 1, 1, 2, 2. You are halfway there. Thirty seconds. Five seconds. Good, take a breather, grab some water. We are going back to the plie squats and then the feet elevated frog pumps one more time. So have your dumbbells ready. We have 1 minute and 15. Toes are out. All right, ladies, you ready? And go. You have 35 seconds. All right, bands on, feet up. You might find it helpful to put your elbows on the floor and your fists up so you can kind of work against the floor. You have 45 seconds. This is the last time you're doing this. Make the most of it. Fifteen seconds. Good, you can come down, take a breather, grab some water. You guys are almost done. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So the last thing that we are going to do, those 4 exercises that we did before, the side lying, abduction pulses, the fire hydrants, the point, knee in, and the rainbows, we're gonna do them again, but we're gonna do all 4 of them on one leg. And then we're gonna switch and do all 4 on the other leg. There will be a break in between, but it's gonna go from one exercise to the next. But then in between legs, you'll get a break. Are you guys ready? So I'll let you guys get into position. First thing, you're laying on your side, keeping the tension in your butt. Don't lose tension in the band if you are using it. And go. And you are switching to fire hydrants. Remember, you are staying on the same leg. So if this leg was just going up, now it's going out to the side. And switch. Now you're going to point and bring that knee in. Same leg. And switching to rainbows. Keep it nice and small. "15 seconds. Good, we are resting for 30 seconds and then you have 3 minutes left on the other leg and then you ladies are done. So starting laying on your side. Again, if it becomes too challenging, take the band off. Starting in 5 seconds. And switching to fire hydrants. Good. Pointing back, bring that knee forward. Try to keep the rest of your body stable. Ten more seconds here. Then you're going into the rainbows. Good, and switch. Twenty seconds. Good, and you guys can stop. I want all of you to kind of sit back and just stretch. Reach your arms forward and just kind of lean into your left side and lean into your right side. And just make sure that you're really stretching your glutes because they are going to be nice and tight. You guys were awesome today.
That was so good.